It started like every other talk show moment. Bright lights, fake smiles, and a little friendly teasing that everyone thought would stay harmless. But that changed fast. The second Joy Behar took a jab at the South, the whole room felt it. You could see it in Blake Shelton's face, the shift from easygoing charm to quiet disbelief. She laughed, thinking it was just another joke. But for Blake, it wasn't funny anymore. Because when you mock the South, you're not just mocking a place, you're mocking people who live with heart, loyalty, and pride. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. He just leaned back, eyes locked on hers, and the crowd could tell something real was about to happen. Joy tried to push it further, smirking as she called Southern culture a little outdated. Blake smiled faintly, the kind of smile that comes right before a storm. "You know, Joy," he said slowly, "where I come from, we respect people, even when they don't understand us." The laughter in the room froze. Cameras kept rolling, but the energy shifted hard. You could feel every eye in that studio turn to him. The moment wasn't loud, it was powerful. Blake wasn't defending just himself. He was standing up for millions who've been laughed at for their roots, their accents, their way of life. And when he finally spoke again, his voice was calm, but unshakable. "You can make fun of a lot of things, but not pride. Not where I'm from." That line hit like thunder through silence. Joy blinked, unsure what to say next. And in that single moment, live on national TV, Blake Shelton turned a joke into a statement. One that said, "Some pride runs too deep to be mocked." The laughter that once filled the studio started fading, replaced by something heavier. Joy leaned forward, still wearing that playful grin, but her tone had an edge now. "So, Blake," she teased, "tell us, what's so special about being Southern? You guys really think barbecue and banjos are a culture?" The audience laughed again, but Blake didn't. He looked at her, calm but steady. "You know, Joy, I'd say there's more heart in a backyard barbecue than in half the fancy parties out here." His words landed like quiet thunder. Joy blinked, then chuckled nervously. "Oh, come on. I'm just kidding." Blake didn't move. See, that's the thing. People say they're joking when they're really judging. The camera cut to the audience. Some smiling awkwardly, others nodding. The tension was real now. Joy tried to spin it back, saying, "You're too sensitive, honey." Blake just smiled, slow and genuine. "No, ma'am. I just don't laugh when folks talk down to people who raise me." The crowd clapped, soft at first, then louder. Even the other co-hosts exchanged quick glances, realizing the mood had changed. Joy crossed her arms, trying to laugh it off again. "You Southerners sure take pride seriously." Blake leaned forward, voice low and calm. "That's because it's the only thing nobody can take from us." The words hung in the air. No shouting, no aggression, just stillness, the kind that makes everyone lean closer to the screen. And in that silence, the crowd understood. This wasn't about a TV joke anymore. It was about respect. Joy's smile started to fade. For once, the jokes weren't landing. She tried to recover. All right, let's move on." But Blake interrupted softly. "No, let's finish this one." The crowd gasped. Nobody interrupted Joy Behar on her own show, but Blake Shelton just did. Joy gave a nervous laugh. "Well, this is live TV," she said, tapping her cards. Blake nodded. "Exactly. So let's be real while we're live." The audience leaned in. The tension was electric. Blake wasn't angry. He was calm, which somehow made it hit harder. "You talk about Southern pride like it's a punchline," he said. "But where I come from, it's family. It's church on Sundays. It's saying yes, ma'am, and meaning it. It's about working hard and not needing to explain yourself to anyone." The studio erupted into applause. Even people in the back row stood up. Joy tried to brush it off with a smirk. "You sound like a Hallmark card," she said. Blake grinned. "Well, sometimes truth sounds old-fashioned. That line hit like lightning." Joy looked stunned. The crowd roared. And Blake just sat there, cool, confident, unbothered. It wasn't the loud kind of victory. It was quiet power. When the cheers died down, he added, "I'm proud of where I'm from. If that offends anybody, they can change the channel." That was it. The final straw. Joy didn't have a comeback. just a forced smile as the camera panned across a standing crowd. Joy glanced at the producer's side of the stage, signaling to cut the segment, but the crowd was still clapping. Blake just sat there, hands folded, polite but solid. She cleared her throat. "Well, on that note," Blake interrupted gently. "No, you're right, Joy. On that note." He stood up, adjusted his jacket, and tipped his hat. The crowd went wild, phones in the air, people cheering. He didn't storm off. He didn't slam the mic. He just nodded to the audience. "Thank y'all for listening," Joy tried to save face. "Guess I struck a nerve." Blake smiled faintly. "Maybe you struck something that still means something to people." That line froze her. The other co-hosts looked uncomfortable, pretending to check their cue cards. The show had officially slipped out of Joy's hands. Blake turned, gave one last wave to the crowd, and walked off. Cameras followed as he exited the set, calm and collected. The applause didn't stop. It grew louder. Even some staff behind the scenes clapped. Joy sat still, trying to laugh. "Well, that was unexpected." But her voice wavered. The clip hit social media within minutes. Hashtags blew up. Southern Pride, Blake Shelton, respect. Viewers replayed the walkout again and again, not for the drama, but for the composure. Blake Shelton didn't win because he shouted. He won because he didn't have to. Sometimes silence says more than an argument ever could. And that silence echoed far beyond that studio. So now the question's yours. What do you think? Was Blake right to stand his ground when Joy crossed that line? Or should he have laughed it off like most guests do? Because sometimes, standing up for where you come from isn't about pride. It's about self-respect. Let's be real. We've all been in that moment where someone mocked our background, our accent, our lifestyle, and we had to decide whether to stay quiet or speak up. Blake chose the second option. And in doing that, he didn't just speak for himself. He spoke for anyone who's ever been made to feel less than for their roots. And maybe that's why this moment hit so hard across the country. It wasn't about TV drama. It was about real values, authenticity, the kind that can't be rehearsed or scripted. So tell me down below. If you were in Blake's seat, what would you have done? Would you keep smiling and let it go? Or would you have called it out right there, live on air? And here's one more. Between Joy and Blake, whose side are you on in this debate? Be honest. Drop your take in the comments because I want to hear from you. If you believe in staying true to who you are, no matter where you come from, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this story. Because pride isn't arrogance, it's knowing your worth. And sometimes defending it quietly speaks louder than shouting ever could.